buttons. So on the left side, the volume buttons are actually pressure sensitive areas up at the top where the buttons normally would be. And then the power button is just on the back of the phone, doubling as the fingerprint reader underneath those cameras. Seems kind of weird at first, but surprisingly reachable. I mostly, though, just love that they clearly got so far into working on this idea that they got to the stage of like developing those little software tricks to make it feel like a smooth experience. Like this is the lock screen, one of the lock screens. Look at this animation when it expands, this like blooming flower thing, and then when you shrink it, it goes back down to a single pedal. That's kind of cool. Also, the settings app, you can see this little slide over animation when you go from closed to open to add a column to the settings app. That's nice. And then when you go from open to closed, that subtle slide over to take that column away. Honestly, it feels like they were really close to releasing this. So then, quick rapid fire through a couple other little things that I noticed, just stuff that I wouldn't have thought about until I actually got my hands on it. One is the motors are stronger than I think you would expect. Like, it's not unbreakable, but it's really impressive. If you try to open this phone and give it a little resistance, it does actually push surprisingly hard against that resistance. So it can push a 16-inch MacBook Pro across a table with rubber feet down. That's like 5 pounds. But also, if it's open and you just squeeze really hard in your hand, it can actually trigger it to finish closing itself to sort of just prevent damage. And then it flashes an error message. So clearly they've really thought about this. Then number two, can it pinch you when it closes? Kinda yes, it can pinch things. So your fingers are mostly too big to get pinched in the back or the bottom, but it can easily pinch smaller items and then pick them up, like microfiber cloths. Then three, okay, there's no way this is water resistant or dust resistant probably. I know they never got to the stage maybe of being marketed or IP rated or even named for that matter. But when it's open, I mean, look at these teeth. You can just tell. You can see the teeth of the gears at the top and the bottom. You can see air gaps. So between that and the fact that this soft, flexible display is constantly exposed to the elements, unlike a regular modern folding phone where it's protected all the time, this was probably not going to have the best durability. So then number four, okay, so you can change the different sounds that play when you unroll, and I think they're all roughly the same length of time that it takes to unroll. So you can hear these different versions of sounds that play that can mask the sounds of the motors. You can also turn that sound completely off, in which case the motor by itself sounds like this. Then number five, there is less of a crease than a folding phone, yes, but it's not no crease. Like theoretically, one of the biggest advantages of a form factor like this is the display doesn't have to fold in half around a super tight radius. But you know, there is still some curve here to roll over to the side. So there's just a larger radius of something, like just a little wavering you can see a little bit more clearly when the display is off. Not really a big deal compared to some of the creases we've seen, but something interesting I found. There are some other notable specs that I found while just digging through the settings here, like a 4,500 milliamp hour battery and at 12 gigs of RAM. None of this stuff really matters because it's not a real phone. But if you want to see how hilariously over-engineered the inside of this phone is, you can watch Zach, JRig Everything's video, because he also got one, and he took those screws and took them out, and it looks ridiculous inside. And you can see in his video, there's not just one, but two motors that are doing all the opening and closing of the phone. And then there's these like 3 spring-loaded arms pushing the whole chassis over to the side while it unrolls. It's wild. I'll link his video below. So, you know, shout out to LG, RIP. We clearly don't know like how much they would have charged for this or even what they would have called it. You know, you can leave your best guesses at something like that down below. But what we do know is they got insanely far in the development process. This is functional hardware, working software, special features, all that stuff. They just didn't survive long enough to actually ship it. I would say it feels like LG is the only one who would actually try to ship a phone like this, but you know, there is word on the street that Samsung is also trying to do a rollable type of smartphone even still. Maybe this year, maybe in the future, we'll see. Definitely get subscribed to be among the first to see that if it does come out, because I'll definitely get my hands on that. But yeah, now you've seen it, the unreleased LG rollable phone. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.